Welcome back. Jayla here. If you are doing investor outreach, sending emails, even getting maybe a few meetings, but you wake up at 2 a.m. with these like subtle feelings of desperation, and trust me, I have been there multiple times. This episode is for you because entrepreneurship and raising money is not for the faint of heart. It is natural to feel a little desperate. It pushes us to the edge for sure. But the key is not showing that in any way, shape, or form to investors, because the second you show desperation, they are out the door. You're not getting a response. You're not getting a follow-up intro. You're not getting a follow-up meeting. So today I'm going to give you 5 strategies that will help ensure you are not letting any desperation show in your outreach, in your meetings, in your follow-up, in your Q&A, so you can get that funding that I know you so badly need. Okay, desperation is a repellent, right? Investors can smell it. It makes you look risky, unstable, unsure. Even if you're actually on to something brilliant, it can just mask all of that, right? So, quick backstory. When I first started raising money, I was all in personally. I had quit my job, my amazing job that I had. I cashed in my 401k. I ran up credit cards. I mean, you guys, I was down to nothing and I was desperate and I felt desperate. And then again, when I went on Shark Tank, I had run into devastating production challenges after we launched. And going on Shark Tank was really a Hail Mary. And I could have gone out there feeling super desperate. But what I did instead, right before I walked out there, when I was like sitting in my dressing room, taking deep breaths and visualizing, the words I was telling myself as I sat there was, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. This is going to be, a really fun experience. And I am going to go out there and I am going to have fun with it. That is literally what I told myself. Now, compare that to if I had sat there and gone, oh my God, I have to get a deal. I have to get a deal. I have to get a deal, right? How obviously our self-talk, we all know that is powerful and does a lot. It's natural to feel desperate, but you need to know when to course correct it and you can't let it show. So whatever it takes to do that is really important. So, okay, practically, how do you show confidence when your bank account is really on fumes and your team is looking at you like, what the fuck are we going to do? We know you have no money and you keep putting out these huge audacious goals and we know you have no money and their, clock is ticking for how much longer they can stay a part of part of the team and all that stuff. So there's all kinds of dynamics. We know that, right? So I'm going to recommend 5 strategies. But before I get into these, I do want to state that I never, ever advocate for lying. Do not lie, right? It is not good. You do not want to start off that way. You don't want to play that game. I never did that. But what I did do, just like in any business negotiation, I leveraged every ounce of whatever I had to help position where I was at. So that's a big difference there, finessing that and lying. I never advocate for lying. Don't cross that line. I have used FOMO, but there was real substance behind it. It wasn't just fabricated out of the blue, right? So number 1, the first strategy, when you're talking to investors and in your pitch deck, you kind of want to subtly get this in, but mostly when you're pitching and Q&A, focus on the vision, not the need. So you don't ever want to say, well, we need the money to do XYZ. We need the money to go out and get customers. We need the money to hire this marketing firm, right? That is putting everything on the money being the thing that you desperately need in order to do all these other things. So lead with more of the vision and why your company is a rocket ship, right? So investors are going to fund momentum. They're not going to fund like a rescue mission to rescue you and get you out of whatever you're at. And again, if you look at Shark Tank, I was in a that was a rescue mission, but I didn't frame it that way, right? And I was honest about where I was at. I was really honest about what had happened, the challenges, the risks, but I told my story and the vision and I focused on that. And that is what got them engaged. So second strategy, use options thinking. And this is the one where you're teetering on, you want to make sure you don't cross the line of lying. So talk to your investors, potential investors, whoever you're talking to, Never act like they are the only person that you're talking to. Now, I have had some founders, coach some founders. This has happened on more than one occasion where, we finish their pitch deck and they go out and they put it in front of one or two investors. Those meetings don't go well and they pause and they're like, yikes. The easiest way to not act like, they are your only chance is to put a ton of irons in the fire right out of the gate. I recommend, start all your networking months in advance, networking, building relationships, putting all these feelers out there, prepare. And maybe not months, but yeah, it really does. It's going to be at least a few months of doing that. Prepare. And then you want to actually start going out and pitching investors. And you want to get enough meetings on the calendar that you in the back of your head feel like you have some momentum, right? It's amazing. It's such a shift in energy. And then when you're talking in the investor meeting, you can honestly say things like, we're speaking with a handful of investors right now. We're being thoughtful about who we bring on. We're exploring different partnerships. Fit matters to us a lot at this stage. And we are focused on finding the right person, not just any person. You can confidently say all those things if you really are in a lot of conversations. So don't finish your pitch deck, get all prepared, and then go have one investor conversation. You need to treat this like a campaign where you are really building out a target list. You are approaching, following up, getting meetings. All of that is going to allow you to speak in those investor meetings without desperation because you're not going to feel it. But if you're hanging your hat on one investor, I just had a call the other day and they said, we're not, what did they say? They basically were just like, yeah, we're not ready to start raising right now, but we had an investor tell us that when we're ready to go back to him. And I was like, the best advice I can give you right now is pretend that person doesn't exist. Maybe they will come through then, but so much changes that you don't want to be right now in the back of your head counting on that one person coming through. And then you're losing all these other, possible opportunities that you could have been pursuing. So don't hang your hat on one person. This is like sales 101, right? All this stuff. But for some reason, we get into this fundraising mode and we forget that it is literally just like dating and sales. If you are desperate and you go out on a date and you let that show, it's probably not going to be received well, right? And same thing in sales. So when you're talking to your customers, if you're desperate and you need their PO, that does not come across good. So this is the exact same thing. Okay. Third strategy. And this one is tough. I know it's not always realistic, but you can get better and better and better at it. Ask questions like a partner, not like a pitcher. So desperate founders will try to convince that their idea is great, that the market timing is perfect right now, that they have the best thing since sliced bread. They're trying to convince the person on the other side, the investor, and it doesn't come across good. So you want to ask questions like, what kind of founders do you like to back? How do you typically support founders or how do you support your portfolio companies? Stuff like that. So you're not coming across as desperate. It flips the energy. It's totally appropriate to ask those questions. And you ask them in a, not like a hardcore, I'm interviewing you kind of way, but just curiosity. And you should know those things anyway, right? Okay. The fourth strategy, don't rush the close. This also goes back to dating and sales. Go on the first date and you ask the person to marry you, probably going to get a no, right? If you go to a customer and you try to give them the super hard sale without building any kind of relationship, why? It's honestly a turnoff, right? So I just got a DM, what was it today? And these are coming through all the time. And it's like, hey, I'm raising pre-seed. Do you want to invest? It's just like, seriously? It's so ridiculous. So don't do that. The tighter you grip, the less you'll get. So keep that in the back of your head. You need to build the relationship. You need to let them lean in and you need to leave space in the conversation. So it's totally appropriate to have an ask slide of what you're raising if you are, have your round totally open. But you don't want to pressure them. Unless you really are, there's definitely one scenario is where you're filling out your round and you need to close, in 2 weeks, and you're like, are you in or are you out kind of thing. So it's okay in certain situations, but if you're not at that point, you don't want to rush the close. You want to focus on respect that there's some back and forth, there's a process, there's, all kinds of scenarios, and you don't want to rush the close. Fifth strategy, and I talked about this at the beginning, work on your energy. So if your tone says, I'm scared, please help. Do whatever you need to do before the call, before the meeting. Meditate, exercise, talk to someone who believes in you, get a pep talk, watch some kind of inspirational YouTube video, like literally just search on YouTube inspirational entrepreneurship stories or whatever, but just get your confidence up so you can go into the meeting grounded, so that when you're doing outreach or, you're doing follow up, you're not desperate. Just be confident to know that you are going to get the funding if you stick with it. This has been true in my whole career and life in general. I cannot predict how I'm going to get somewhere, but the goals I've set, the big ones, and focused on the end result, I eventually have gotten to the end result, but it's in the most unexpected ways. So embrace that. Embrace that you have no idea who your first investor is going to be, how they're going to come about. Just keep putting one step in front of the other, work on your energy, and make sure that you stay grounded and confident. And here's the real truth. And again, I've seen this to be true. Back to, the moment when I was sitting in my dressing room approaching Shark Tank, like a fun life experience versus like, I need the deal. I need the deal. The moment you don't need the money and you really feel that is when it tends to show up. So act like it's already handled. Just know you're going to get it. Don't worry too much about each individual interaction. Just keep doing more and more outreach. It is a numbers game. It's a targeted numbers game. And the more irons you have in the fire, the more momentum you're going to get and the less desperate you're going to feel. So I know you can do this. I did it against all odds. So hang in there. Charge forward, reach out if you have any questions or if I can help in any way. I review pitch decks on Fridays. hello@seedmoneypodcast.com. Email me, and we'll see you next time.